Lai.
It's the primetime news here on Joy News at 8. My name is Israel Lai. Making the headlines this evening, political parties campaign heat up as road to December 7 draws nearer. National Election Security Task Force will be deployed on the 4th and 5th of December after they cast their votes on Tuesday, December 4. Still on the elections, the Electoral Commission started distribution of biometric voters register to the various political parties, except some parties are not so excited. It's delayed. In showbiz, there's a story from Hip Life artist called Kessie to VIP over an act he put up at the Joy FM night with the stars over the weekend. In DR Congo, the military commander of the M23 rebels is reported to have joined negotiations to end fighting. These and many more coming up in the bulletin presently. In our very first story, the Progressive People's Party says it has identified lack of teacher motivation as a prime factor to the falling standards of education. Greater Accra Regional Chairman Nanu Bodi, in the first of the party's Meet the Press series, said 20% of its budget will be sunk into education to arrest the anomaly, and teacher motivation will be top of its educational priorities.
Bodi described as pathetic BEC results in the last decade. Of over 3 million, only half of that number passed, leaving the rest to failure. He said it's therefore embarrassing to note that about 70% of students in the northern region cannot read or write, a problem believed to have been generated by a lack of motivation to the teacher.
We want to raise their spirit high. Teachers will feel so comfortable when they are going to work. When they are going to classroom, the classrooms are attractive, nicely placed, well ventilated. Some of the classrooms you get there, even you being a guest or a parent, then you wish that the next minute you are out of the place. We are going to invest in them. We are going to pay them and make sure that lecturers, those who are teaching in other universities, those who are teaching in other fields, they'll also feel comfortable.
The PPP plans to offer packages to teachers which would enable them own their own homes to bring them up to the standard of doctors, engineers and other high-earning professionals.
The engineer sitting at VRE, apart from his salary, his allowances alone may exceed even what the highest teacher receives. Why should it be like that? PPP is talking about physical change, a change that you can see. When you talk of a library, you go there and you meet modern textbooks. If it's about internet, we are talking about the best that you can get anywhere in the world. Under the PPP administration, there is going to be a standardized educational structure, all school buildings in Ghana. And we are going to divert from the colonial style of building our schools. We are talking of modern classrooms. We can also upgrade our teacher training colleges into universities.
Although many hold divergent views on free education policy, Nana Bwedi says he is convinced beyond measure that it is feasible.
Don't let anybody deceive you that it's not possible. It is possible. Countries like Korea, they've done it. Singapore, they've done it. Malaysia, they've done it. What are we doing? We are practicing a system that by the close of the day, 50% are thrown into the street. Said bankrupt educational structures. They are not ready to inherit it.
The PPP says everyone will be held accountable for their roles in the various fields to arrest any anomalies.
We are not just going to invest and invest. Every cent that goes into education, we are expecting the results. And who is in charge? You will be called to answer.
A PPP government will deploy the police to arrest parents who refuse to send their wards to school since it becomes compulsory and free from kindergarten to senior high school level. Teachers, according to the PPP, will be placed on a pedestal that befit their status, and all that will come when the parties give to form the next government.
The flag bearer of the Great Consolidated Popular Party, GCPP, says the party is ready for the December 7 polls. According to him, GCPP has been preparing feverishly, though underground due to financial difficulties, but is now ready to compete with the rest.
The Great Consolidated Popular Party, with its flag bearer Dr. Henry Latte and his running mates John Ameka, is on the second position on the ballot paper. positioned between the NDC in the number 1 position and the MPP on the 3rd spot. GCPP believes it is a party that is poised to make an impact in the 2012 elections. Dr. Henry Latte, in an interview with Joy News, said, even though the party had been on the quiet for some time now, it had embarked on an elaborate nationwide educational campaign to explain its policies and programs.
It may look as though we are not prepared, but the point is we haven't brought our campaign to the media, because for 2 years we've been working on the ground and going to every constituency. We've had overwhelming support on the ground. Although we didn't go campaigning, as soon as people heard about us, they came in. Especially, I remember going to Mencia, and the whole place erupted. And then after that, we went to Kukum and Go, so the place erupted.
The party also has a strong online presence with serious campaigning on its Facebook page. As the party still maintains its message of domestication, it brings on board a modern domestication for a modern Ghana, with solar energy the main solution to job creation.
The message that the late Dan Latte sent is so resonating. The Ghanaians love it because they know that is the only way for their lives to change. And I've come in with modern domestication for a modern Ghana by using the sun's rays, because the energy mix, and add solar to it. And I'm hammering on the solar because the Western world are doing it. And Germany has 500 billion ready to go into North Africa. Should we sit down and let that 500 billion go to North Africa? We can bring that 500 billion to Ghana. We can transform our whole economy.
Even though the flag bearer could not project or give a tentative percentage his party would clock in the 2012 election, Dr. Latte is hopeful that the GCPP would make it to the presidency. This was Dr. Latte's response when asked about which party the GCPP would align with in the event of a second round.
We'll see. Ghanaians will tell us. As we get there, we are on the ground. We can feel what Ghanaians are feeling. And at the time, when it gets to, how can I put it, the crunch, we'll know where the Ghanaians want the votes to go, and then we'll do that accordingly.
The GCPP has only 2 parliamentary candidates contesting in the Ashanti and the eastern regions.
Domestication, eat what you grow what you eat. So this election is obey pin. So Ghana for they'll show us the real life.
It does maintain that domestication is the way forward.
PNC policy analyst Atiq Mohammed is taking a swipe at the party's flag bearer Hassan Ayariga over some of his recent remarks in the media. He tells Joy News, though there is still some impasse between the leaders of the party which has not been resolved, the flag bearer is worsening the party's situation in chances in the December polls by his recent actions.
He described as worrying the hard-earned PNC's reputation, which was built by the members over the years, being dwindled by the flag bearer.
The actions of our flag bearer have actually waned away every respect, every confidence people had in the People's National Convention. It appears the flag bearer is now even bracing himself to get us into more crisis. And I just had information on my way here from Tamale that he and the General Secretary too have gone there to organize people to go and organize a counter press conference. And for me, that is extremely counterproductive, because the issues we have raised are not personal issues. These are issues that have to do with your style, your very person, and so on. And you are the flag bearer.
He agreed that the party has made a mistake choosing its leaders and the current flag bearer.
We made a mistake by choosing our leaders. We, as ordinary members of the party, made a big mistake by voting for the flag bearer, the chairman, the general secretary, every other person of the leadership. I think it was a huge, gargantuan, unforgivable, inexcusable mistake. And I'm sure delegates have learned, the constituency executives, regional executives, everybody has learned that going forward, there is a need for us to change everybody who occupies a leadership position now, because all of them have been nothing but a failure.
On the issue of the recent PNC's Hassan Ayariga's alleged threat on Egbert Fable, Atiq Mohammed expressed his apologies to Egbert Fable and described Abu Ramadan's recent comment of canvassing for votes for the NPP's Nana Akufo-Addo as unfortunate and disappointing.
All these things, why? As a flag bearer, you have a certain standard to maintain. And PNC has a reputation. You are journalists. Have you ever heard that PNC is involved in any violent activity in one way or the other? No, our tradition doesn't allow us. We are not known for that. It is not, the right thing to do by going violent. I frown very heavily upon what Abu has done. Because at the end of the day, and I feel very worried because Abu at some point was sharing the views that we were expressing. And for you to openly come out and say, advocating that people should vote skirt and blouse, betrays the very essence of the exercise we're embarking upon. And leadership needs to take action on this. But maybe it appears they've lost moral rights to do so because they themselves have at some points weakened their position as leaders.
With 11 days to the elections, one would ask why the PNC will be going through these troubled times.
The Ghana Police Service is stepping up security for all aspirants taking part in this year's election by designating officers to the various candidates. Apart from the presidential candidates who will have 4 officers at their disposal, their running mates will have 2, whilst the parliamentary aspirant will have 1 upon request. At a meeting with all the political parties contesting the elections today, Inspector General of Police Paul Teriakwe explained the security officers will see to the safety of the candidates during campaign, voting, and some few days after the elections.
The CPP, PPP, NPP and NDC met the IGP Paul Teriakwe today, where they were assured of police neutrality and protection during the elections.
Presidential candidates, the police is dedicating 4 security personnel. For the vice presidential candidate or the running mates, we are dedicating 2 each. And for the MPs, we are providing them with 1 security detail on request. When they arrive in the district and they will make a request to the district commander, they will be provided with such a detail.
According to the Director of Public Affairs of the Ghana Police Service, DSP Cephas Arthur, PNC, GCPP, UFP and the only independent candidate are also set to meet the police tomorrow. According to him, the service has dedicated a desk to political parties where they can register their concerns.
In addition to the, charge office report and the rest, I'm dedicating this desk to you. So and so numbers are available to you. If you have any concern, call personally to this number and your concern will be attended to in a hasty manner. What they have done is that they have selected some of the operations officers at the headquarters here and given their numbers to the political parties so that they can contact these operational officers directly. Wherever they are, when they call, it will come to these operational officers.
DSP Cephas Arthur said the police service also requested from political parties to comport themselves and keep their supporters in check.
The Electoral Commission has started the distribution of the biometric voters register to the various political parties. While some parties are happy with the distribution, others have expressed concern about the delay in the release of the register.
The Electoral Commission promised to make available a copy each, which comes in 2 forms, the hard copy and a soft copy of the voters register, to all the political parties from the 19th of November. But till date, some have still not received theirs. For the Great Consolidated Popular Party, the receipt of the biometric register will not change the voting pattern.
It's having a message, having a plan, having a way to solve Ghana's problems, and Ghanaians believing that you can do it. That's the way you win an election. An electoral voters register will not make you win an election. It just tells you those who are on the register.
The PPP is yet to receive theirs too, but are okay with the distribution process.
So far, so good. We are hoping that the EC will live up to its expectation.
They, however, expressed concern about the level of education on the electoral process and urged the EC to intensify the education. The NPP received a copy of the register, but the leadership of the party has expressed disappointment at the EC for the delays in distribution of the register.
I think at the last IPAC meeting, it was agreed to be done in a day. It was a matter of a day. But you would agree with me, it's gone nearly into 2 weeks. And as usual or typical of the EC,
they are not able to make do with their own words. And so they call us in as to when they are ready to pick them.
At the NDC office, I was told party officials are on the ground campaigning and therefore unable to comment on the matter. The Electoral Commission was also not available to comment on the issue. As I was informed, all senior officials are on training program in the Eastern region.
The Center for Democratic Development CDD parliamentary candidates debate at Dome Kwabenya recorded interesting answers from aspirants of the various political parties on issues bothering on national development. The NPP parliamentary candidate for the area, Adwoa Safo, who did not take part, was said to have been on a door-to-door campaign at the time.
Some answers offered by aspirants in response to issues of national development were remarkable. For instance, the independent candidate for the area, Franklin Frimpong Manso, when asked about how he would tackle HIV/AIDS when voted into power, said, if those living with HIV/AIDS die, it will prevent others from being infected. Perhaps that is not what he meant, so he sought to explain himself.
From now, we should advise these boys or girls so that they don't contract it till the last person of those people who are having the HIV virus die. That was all that I knew.
The NPP candidate Adwoa Safo was absent, while the NDC's Sophia Kwaku, PNC's Abu Sidik, PPP's Ukwesi Anyomisi, and independent candidate Franklin Frimpong Manso took turns to answer questions. I asked coordinator for the CDD's parliamentary debate what they seek to achieve with the debates.
The main objective of organizing the parliamentary candidate debates in 30 selected constituencies are to bring the candidates together and also the electorates together so that the candidates will get an opportunity to explain their programs, vision and policies to the electorates. And then the electorates will also get an opportunity to hear from them so that based on what they will hear from the candidates, they can take an informed decision as to who should represent them in parliament.
It was interesting to hear the candidates make promises which may not be easy to keep when voted into power, such as opening a counseling center for disabled in the constituency, meeting all the needs of the vulnerable in society, and using personal finances and salaries for the benefit of the people.
I'll use all what I have with my monthly pay or from the NGOs that help the disability or whatever it is for them to come to their aid.
Open a counseling center so that people with disability can go there and be counseled so that psychologically they can feel to be part of everybody.
I know it takes a long time to reach your subconscious and unconscious level of perfection. That is doing something without having reflex or intra-reflex view of it, be it ultrasound or sight.
There was a low turnout of constituents at the debate, but CDD's Regina Oforiwa Amanfo Tete believes it is challenging to mobilize people in such large constituencies if political party representatives do not organize their supporters to attend.
The Union Patriotic Party has urged the media to scrutinize any material made available for broadcast as advertisement before publication. The question makes reference to an NDC advert being aired on some local radio stations.
Ghana for semunim se MPP for de eba nim kontompo a wo yade wo ho pa enkankan ne abato obrim na munim se sika e wose yensaka efri yen wo yimu no enye ni nyina ene yensaka efri se MPP ene on EO group afamu bi
na munim se MPP besa to VAT mu se ne oye in 2001 no omo ba omo di VAT be 15% akọ 20% na kire se e di ahochira beba o man for so
sada na ye MPP fo adwen se NDC aban yakatua wotua Ghana dwumayfo no edoso nti so onya tumi no ebedi a emfie mienu ntem wonto Ghana dwumayfo akatua mu
MPP ni o man hu adwempa ne a wohwehwa ne tumi o de ba bedi yen o yusika no te se ne akofo kan no wa nyafu.
This is one of the numerous adverts of the NDC that is being aired on some local radio stations to convince electorates to retain them in power. According to the NPP, the information in the advert is complete falsehood and a sign of desperation of the NDC to cling to power.
Our worry is that the ruling party has concocted a total palpable lie and are playing that as a commercial. And what it seeks to say is that we're going to increase value-added tax from 15 to 20%. It also seeks to say that we're going to scrap the single spine salary structure. Every Ghanaian and every worker who earns salary knows that it is the NPP that came up with the single spine salary structure and even implemented it by the time we were leaving office. It took the NDC to postpone it for 1 year and reorganize themselves before they could implement it the next year.
Perry says their first mechanism to stop this advert is urging the media to stop playing the advert in question. When that fails, they would take other measures.
We will use all the appropriate channels that are available to us as a political party in addressing this matter. First of all, the first one is to tell you, the media that is playing the material, to desist from doing so. Radio stations to take cognizance of such material. Radio stations to go through the pain of screening political materials before they are aired. The next line of action you will see.
The NPP said they are certain they will assume office next year to transform Ghana's economy.
NPP presidential candidate Nana Akufo-Addo told students of the Takoradi Polytechnic that the election of December 7 is about their future. He said he's clamoring for a Ghana that will no longer depend on the production and export of raw materials, but one with a strong manufacturing sector.
A tumultuous crowd greeted the NPP presidential candidate to the campus. The tertiary confederacy unit of the party in the school led other students to host Nana Akufo-Addo and his team. Enthusiastic students chanted songs in support of the party. Member of Parliament for Takoradi Kobida Komensa alleged the NDC government had spent more money in their 4-year term than any other government. NPP presidential candidate Nana Akufo-Addo said the youth will play a critical role in providing the resources to turn Ghana into an industrial hub.
The election of 7th December, 2 weeks today, is about the future of Ghana. And the future of Ghana is your future. The future of Ghana is your future. So it makes a lot of sense that we have come here today to share a few thoughts with you. The Ghanaian future that the NPP is putting forward is a future where Ghana is no longer a country dependent on the production and export of raw material, but a Ghana which has a strong manufacturing sector, a Ghana which is devoted to industrial and value-adding activity. In that future, you here are going to play a critical role in providing the manpower for managing the new industrial revolution that we are going to undertake here in our country.
Nana Akufo-Addo also said the next NPP government will set Ghana on the path of development and prosperity.
Are we going to continue under a government, a party that has no program for our nation, that has no vision for our nation, that is riddled with incompetence and corruption? Are we going to continue such a party in power? Or are we going to move our country into the hands of those who have shown their competence, who have shown their integrity, who have shown their capacity to bring out real progress and development in our nation?
Voters' Voice today is about second-hand refrigerator and laptop dealers talking about the issues that are of concern to them.
What we want a government who can on power is that we want the this thing. They should reduce the price, the duty. The duty is too much, because if you send $1 today, tomorrow the dollar will be different altogether. So what we want is they should reduce the port, the levy for us. Secondly, we learn the government want to whatever it is. They say they should ban the second-hand fridges. I think that will, in fact, it will worry us. So please, we are begging them so that they can see to it. We don't want them to ban the second-hand distance.
What I want the government to help us is about when we are clearing our goods from the port side. You know, it's normally cost too much. And the secondary, I think the government to help us with the China goods coming inside Ghana here. We deal with the original goods, but the China, their goods are very inferior, but it's destroying our market too. So if they can do something about it for us.
Things are not moving on at all. Things are not going on. And when you call the price, the people just walk out by saying the things are costly and other stuffs. You know what? So I think it's not our problem or something like that, but like the duties that we are paying out there is affecting the things that we are selling over here. You know that. That is why our things keeps increasing or something like that. So if the government can help us to decrease the duties that we are paying out there for us, I think the things also will be decreasing. You know, yeah, that is my point.
The problem we are facing is the duty problem, whereby the duty they put on our goods is too expensive. We can't afford it. That's why now the business is collapsing. People like fridges, but because of the duties we have been paying on the ports, which we cannot allow them to buy the things cheap. So we are appealing to the government that it should reduce the duties for us, so that the people who are in need of fridge, they can afford it, so that they can buy their fridges and they can use it for whatever they want.
This job actually is like the whole thing is duty. If you bring about 40 pieces of one container, and it's like one duty is about 250,000. If you are selling, people are used to complain. The price is too much, and normally 42 inches, you used to sell it 15. But 15, because of duty, is 18. 18 is too much. So people are complaining. So if you can do something about the duty, you appreciate and you like it.
Now we're taking a break shortly, but before then there's a very recent development, or there's a new development to this story that broke earlier today. It has to do with the John Mahama campaign and a group associated with this, with the John Mahama campaign. Now the John Mahama campaign has dissociated itself from activities from the group calling itself Volunteers for Mahama, who are raising funds from governmental agencies. The group was reported to have taken money from the Ghana Investment Promotion Council, ostensibly to garner support for the ruling party. A newspaper publication today signed a check from the council to the group. Head of the council, George Abaji, would not confirm or deny the payment, except to say that investigations have begun when Joy FM spoke to him. But President John Mahama has described the action by the group as unethical and unacceptable. A statement signed by Hannah Tete, communications director of the John Mahama campaign, said the action by the group violates the tenets of the Political Parties Act. And these are in quotes. Says, we therefore wish to request the group to refund any monies that they may have received from the Ghana Investment Promotion Council at once, and certainly within 24 hours. It urged such organizations. So that's the very latest on that breaking story that came in today. We'll be back with more news. Don't go away. Now, agric farmers are urging government to come up with a clear policy direction for promoting organic farming. This comes after a UNDP survey carried out between 2007 and 2008 revealed that vegetables consumed in Accra were contaminated with more than a dozen chemicals well above tolerable percentages. Subsequently, some farmers have been blamed for resorting to the use of banned chemicals to control pests and weeds to maximize yield. Speaking to Business Report, Deputy General Secretary of the General Agricultural Workers Union, Edward Karawet, prompted government to take action if the situation had to be reversed. And also, the Center for Policy Analysis has warned that supporting political party activities with bank credit would only result in high lending rate. Now, latest figures from the Bank of Ghana indicate the private sector credit continued to grow by almost 44% rather in September this year, compared to almost 26% in the same period last year. Speaking on the maiden edition of Joy FM's latest series dubbed The Business of Elections, SEPA's Executive Director Dr. Joe Abe explained this will have negative implications for lending rates if a chunk of the credit went to support political activities rather than business. This comes in the light of concerns about government's excessive spending during election years, which only results in high inflation, depreciation of the local currency, and high cost of doing business. Dr. Abe says, though on the whole this election year has been better, there still remain some legitimate concerns over government's public sector spending and have to be addressed appropriately. Now 5% of phones on the Ghanaian market, facts reveal, are fake. The menace, according to phone manufacturers, has affected sales and thereby impacting on their profits. Speaking to Business Report at the launch of Nokia's Lumia 920 and 820 phones, Vice President of Nokia West Africa, James Rutherford, hinted phone makers are going all out to halt the incidence of fake phones. Now, in international news, we'll be taking some other. The European Union has been meeting on the budget crisis affecting life. We'll be going over to Studio 60 to join Stephen Anti, who will be telling us what's coming up on PM Express tonight. So, good evening to you, Steve, and from Studio 60, what's coming up on PM Express tonight?
Hi, Israel. Tonight we'll be discussing a report that was put out by Imani Ghana Limited, I beg your pardon, which is titled Ghana, the Threat of Decay. Now, the civil society group is saying that over the last 5 years, Ghana has seen the most dramatic and frightening slowdown in the reform effort. Now, what they're saying is that whoever wins the presidential elections on December 7th, will be confronted when they wake up on 8th January with a country where virtually all the urgently needed major reforms appear stuck in the ditch. That is a very straightforward assertion from the civil society group, which we are going to explore tonight. We'll have Bright Simmons himself, the vice president, in the studio, and then we'll have a government representative.
All right, thank you very much, Steve Anti. So you make a date for PM Express, which comes right up after the bulletin. And then we have Marianne Toure. She's coming up with Showbiz.
So welcome to your new phase of Showbiz on Joy News at 8. I have a madman apologizing for what madmen always do, and I have something from fashion. And the madman in question is Kwakese. He is apologizing to VIP for putting a banner on the ground and then stomping on it, and the fans went crazy. And Kwakese is apologizing for it. Take a look at this.
The madman on the street, Abadam, seemed to have stepped on the wrong toes of VIP and their fans with his creative madness during Joy FM's Night with the Stars. But what did Kwakese do wrong that got VIP angry to boiling point? These sexy, sassy, Caucasus, slender, clothless ladies appeared on stage with a banner which had VIP printed on it and dropped it on the floor. Caucasus stood on it during his performance, and this aroused some negative sentiments among VIP. VIP and their fans raged with anger at Caucasus' mad creativity and actually announced that they were taking the act personal. So after their performance, backstage, it was chaotic and a lot of soothing had to be done to avoid any attack on Caucasus, who at the time was out of sight. Well, to also show their displeasure at VIP's attitude towards their Tema brother, Sarkodie and R2Bs abandoned their fans in the middle of an exciting show and boycotted the event. But Caucasus has called on VIP to let bygones be bygones. In an interview with Black Rasta on his taxi driver show on Hits FM, Caucasus called VIP his brothers and asked that they hate their differences and work together to promote peace in Ghana.
I want to tell them that they are brothers, we are all brothers. We are not fighting, for any cause. We are fighting for the better name of Ghana, for the good music of Ghana to go out there. So we should hide any differences and just continue as brothers. I didn't come to stage to do anything against them. So they should see it like that, and let's move on as brothers and keep the vision going.
Looking at Caucasus' stagecraft, it was proper madness. So, well, he just drummed home his name, Abodam.
And now to my favorite subject, fashion. Competition, they say, bring out the best in every venture. True to that saying, the Ghanaian fashion scene appears to be bouncing back from life as patronage for locally designed clothing is on the rise. Showbiz takes a look at the evolving face of Ghanaian fashion.
Too long ago, looking fashionable in the Ghanaian sense meant wearing clothes designed by some of the most celebrated designers in Europe or America. Although that definition has not entirely vanished, it no longer holds as the benchmark for measuring one's sense of style. Cotton, linen and sack fabrics produced in Ghana and elsewhere on the continent with intricate patterns have become the preferred materials for producing the most sought-after clothes lately. According to the designers, the use of these fabrics is intended, among others, to project the African culture. It is therefore not surprising that most of the fashion shows held in Ghana this year have featured a great deal of designs in African fabrics. Mayaki, which is coined from Mami Aoye Kikim, outdoored some of its latest designs over the weekend using local fabrics to design clothes ranging from casual to beachwear. Mami Yaesuedua Donko designs for the Mayaki label.
I purposely launch it around this time so that I'll get more clients during the festive season, since people will be going for awards nights and then weddings and stuff like that.
To boost the morale of Mamiya and others like her, organizers of the Ghana Fashion Awards over the weekend rewarded some deserving designers. Recognition was given to the Best Designer, Emerging Designer of the Year, and Accessories Designer of the Year, among others. Organizers say they look forward to upgrading the price package for the Best Designer next year.
Next year, the Best Designer of the Year will win a trip to go and see the Milan Fashion Show, or all expenses paid for. I'm sure that is something that a lot of people will want to see. We can't afford to take everybody, but we can afford to take one person and give him that experience. So when they come back into Ghana, they can showcase what they have seen in Milan. And that way other Ghanaian designers can pick on and learn as well.
Showbiz spoke to some of the award winners and nominees at the Ghana Fashion Awards, which was also held over the weekend.
I think there are other people in the category who are more fashionable, more into fashion than I am. KOD, Jocelyn.
Hope these interventions will strengthen Ghana's fashion industry and make it a force to reckon with on the continent and beyond.
And that's all we have for you in Showbiz tonight. Sports follows up shortly.
And good evening and welcome to the sports news. Now we start with the news that the flag bearer of the Progressive People's Party, Dr. Papa Kwesi Indum, has called for the abolition of the Ministry of Youth and Sports since it has barely served the purpose for which it was created.
The elections is only a fortnight away and the various political parties are espousing their views on the different issues and challenges facing the nation, one after the other. These views are being hammered and drummed into the hearts and minds of the Ghanaian electorate to secure their votes, with sports playing a major role in the lives of many Ghanaians. It is obvious that the electorate will be looking out for the candidate who will best suit their interests. For the presidential candidate of the Progressive People's Party, a huge and significant paradigm shift should be considered, and for him, the Ministry of Youth and Sport should be abolished since it has barely served its purpose. For him, sports associations should be detailed to handle the various sporting disciplines in the country.
Absolutely not. I don't believe it's necessary. I believe that we need sports associations. If it's athletics association, it should be there. If you want a governing body, there should be a governing body that's voluntary. Okay, that helps. But government should help provide the facilities, it should help provide sponsorship, help provide incentives that would allow other people to put money into sports.
He added that government should also take a critical look at the provision of infrastructure and the necessary incentives that will enhance sports development in the country.
As I'm sponsoring a football team, and as I'm interested in building a sports facility, if there were financial incentives, tax incentives, then maybe I'll speed up my activities so that the people in my area, they would have a good sports facility.
The Ghanaian voter, though, would have the final say in determining whether these policies are in the best interest of the sporting populace or otherwise. We'll live to see if his vision would become a reality or otherwise.
And as part of efforts to drive traffic to next year's African Cup of Nations football tournament to be staged in South Africa, the South African High Commission in Ghana has held a soiree to throw more light on the general organization of the event. Ghana has been drawn in Group B of the Nations Cup, where she will be up against Niger, Mali and DR Congo and be based in the coastal port city of Port Elizabeth. That's it for the sports news.
For the bulletin for tonight, I'd like to say thank you to Kwame and Marian Toure for bringing us the sports news and showbiz. That's it. My name is Israelai. On behalf of all my producers, I say thank you very much. You have a good evening.